Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the BBBN podcast. I apologize for this being a little bit later than what I anticipated. Past couple of days have been a little crazy. Got a new job. Hours are weird. To the point where it's difficult for me to record on Thursdays and post them on Thursdays. So tentatively look out for these coming out on the weekend. Gonna be trying to figure some of that out. But make sure you like and subscribe for more content and for more BattleBots reviews. All in all, this was a pretty solid episode. I enjoyed pretty much all the fights going into this. But this format's going to be a little bit different because I was trying to get onto tier bracket maker, whatever it is, tier maker, and the tier list set that I use, and it wasn't working for some reason. So we're just gonna go. We're not necessarily gonna go right into the power rankings position, but we're gonna combine the two. We're gonna see how well the flow goes, and then we'll go from there. Starting off with Hydra and free shipping. This was definitely a great bounce back fight for Hydra. It was a fight where it felt like Hydra had control the entire fight. It kept on getting flips. It kept on getting flips one after the other. Like very solid flips too. This felt like the closest to 2019 Hydra that we saw like in a long time. And this was a 2019 rematch. One that felt one of the most unnecessary, I would say. Like I'm not quite sure a lot of people were clamoring to have Hydra and free shipping fight again. Like to a certain extent, like other rematches of Cobalt and Minotaur, that's one that people would be like really excited about because that was one of the best fights in 2019, and one of that was like not Cobalt and Witch Doctor, Minotaur and Witch Doctor from last year. That's a fight that's gonna be a strong rematch. And like other rematches, like when you look at Hydra, Tantrum Hydra itself was a rematch that people wanted. This was a rematch that I don't want to say felt like padding out the schedule, but certainly was a rematch that they decided to put onto the show. But it showed like incredible fight. This was a great fight for Hydra, and for free shipping they did okay. They didn't do great, they didn't do terrible. They did okay. They were able to get some damage off on free ship on Hydra. Some of like the side panels came off, but I don't think those are panels that are easily like hard to come off. I don't think that's the case at all. They're pretty easy to come off. We've seen them fall off in other fights and stuff like that, so it's not that hard for you to do. But props to them. They're actually able to get like something like that off. I think free shipping is showing that it's okay when it comes to like mid-range bots or like lower range bots, but like when you give Hydra and Minotaur to free shipping, like it's gonna die, but it's gonna die in spectacular fashion. And I think that's why they put it on here. In general, they wanted to see free shipping die in spectacular fashion, and ultimately that's definitely what happened. When it comes to ranking the Hydra and free shipping fight, we're going to be talking about this later on, but now that we have 1 and 2 bots and 2 and 1 bots, it's gonna get really iffy where I rank some of them. Currently I am going to put Hydra above Cobalt for now, just because of the fact that it is 2 and 1. And its 2 wins were pretty solid, and it's 1 loss to Tantrum. Like Tantrum Well, while Tantrum is only 1-2 right now, was the champion last year, so there's merit in that loss. But now we look at free shipping, and free shipping has still looked better than the Valkyrie. At least I can give it credit for looking better than Valkyrie. I don't think it's gonna move a ton. I think it was at 33, and it's just gonna slot right back into 33 because it just didn't. Like we look at these bottom bots, like these wins were like because other bots imploded. Other than Switchback, Switchback actually did something to beat Banshee, but 33 free shipping is where I will put it for now. Maybe if in more consideration, I'll put it under Whiplash and Rebot, but that's where we have it right now. And moving on to Huge v Fusion. This was a fight that I did not expect the way for it to go. I definitely saw this fight closer to akin of Son of Waiachi Fusion from 2019. If you don't remember that fight, what happened was it was a great fight. It was a solid fight. But what ultimately won the fight for Son of Waiachi was that its weapon just was able to take a giant chunk out of Huge, then Huge couldn't drive on that wheel. And that's sort of what Fusion was trying to do. They went with a smaller bar, which I'm assuming the reasoning for that being for a cutting motion, just so they can like slice right through it, because wheels. Wow, Huge's wheels are big, and they went with the Tigress wheels, and the Tigress wheels are harder to cut through, and they're also multi-layered. So you want something that can easily cut through it, and I think this might be a good what if scenario when it comes to BattleBots, like a what if fight, because what we saw happening in the fight was Fusion just like went through a little bit of the Tigress wheels, and then it got opened like a can opener. Huge's weapon is wickedly strong, massively strong, ridiculously strong. In 3 hits, it just came open, just like a tuna can, just like how Hypershock did it to Warrior Clan in 2016, if I remember correctly. But regardless, that weapon is powerful. But say that weapon doesn't have that much immediate power. Like if this is an older version of Huge, I don't think an older version of Huge would be able to do what this Huge does. And that's partially why that makes this Huge so like special. But I think if this was older Huge, we look at a different complete like outcome. We look at a completely different outcome, because Fusion will get that time to attack that wheel and make it all tattered up and at least affect its mobility. Because what I could definitely see happening is, while Fusion with the Tigress wheels, while Fusion doesn't take out like a giant chunk from the wheels, like we saw in Son of Waiachi, Team Huge has learned their lesson from that, clearly. What I do think happens is something akin to... This is going to be a really weird shout out, but Gabriel 2 and Carbide from the reboot of Robot Wars, where Carbide just kept on attacking Gabriel 2's wheels, and then Gabriel 2 just started moving really wonky and really weird around the entire fight. And I think that mobility makes it harder to point. If there was that lack of mobility, it makes it harder to attack that weapon. In theory. This is all in theory, and what I'm saying here doesn't bear any weight because of the fact that Huge dished out the KO blow before it could even happen. But you look at Huge. Huge is the most likely out of the 3-0 robots so far. So out of Minotaur and out of Claw Viper, the most likely to go 4-0. And it is nothing to do with how good the robot is. Huge is still a great robot. Claw Viper and Minotaur are also great robots. But they face Starchild next. Now, Starchild, don't take offense to this, but Starchild is a lot lower of a caliber robot than a Hypershock and Witch Doctor are. Witch Doctor is on a different level than Hypershock is, for that matter. But Starchild is tiers below Hypershock in what it can do. That's not going to hold Huge back, I don't think. When I look at the ranking, it's like, oh, their 4-0 is pretty weak. No, their 4-0 is pretty impressive. Their 4-0 run was pretty unprecedented as well. I think I am going to put Huge under Claw Viper for now. I think that's where it slots in pretty well. Some may put Claw Viper. Actually, some may put Claw Viper under Overhaul. Some might put Claw Viper under Huge because of the Overhaul fight, how it wasn't necessarily a dominating win. Actually, I will put Huge over Claw Viper. Its wins were more impressive, and in some ways its wins were more impressive, and also strength of schedule is there compared to Claw Viper. I feel like both of these are interchangeable though. Like, these could definitely both be 5. For Fusion, this is weird. Because a 1 and 2 Fusion, I think, has a better resume because of the Witch Doctor fight. Has a better, and Emulsifier, has a better oh man, it has a better resume than both Monsoon, Deathroll, and Bloodsport. But do I think Ripperoni? Yeah, Ripperoni's better because it beat Endgame. And I think for now, Lucky is also better. So I think I will slot it into the number 22 spot for now. Alright, next up is Lockjaw versus Glitch. And this one ultimately may just end up being a pretty quick one, because this fight was pretty quick. What a sophomore slump for Glitch. What a sophomore slump. No matter if you expected a lot from Glitch or a little from Glitch, to come out of the gate 0-2, both from one-hit KOs, essentially, is not a good look to have. It's very sad. And I wish Glitch was able to figure out their robot. Like, Team Glitch would be able to figure out their robot. Because the concept is so good. Omni Wheels and a vertical spinner. And, like, a drum spinner. Like, Ominous is trying to do that. Yeah, Ominous is 0-1, but we haven't seen it fight its second fight yet against Shred It Bro. Like, it's such a good concept. But they're running into so many issues that like their games are being won and lost in the pits. That's ultimately what's happening here. And like you have to respect their effort, but like you're up against Donald Hudson, who's one of the most decorated veterans of the sport of BattleBots. And a guy that's cool under pressure, not saying Glitch isn't. A guy that's cool under pressure and will take his time to attack. we saw Lockjaw take a considerable amount of time before even like fully approaching Glitch for that one hit KO. Because Lockjaw was afraid of that weapon. I would be afraid of that weapon too. The only person that wasn't afraid of that weapon was Ethan Kurtz because he had literally just hit the side of it right off the bat. But there's not much to add about this fight. Not really. Um, Lockjaw was able to get the one hit KO. Glitch wasn't able to. Glitch got flipped, couldn't self right. That seems like a glaring issue. Is that like both of the times that and it died, it was because it was like unable to self right. If that feels like such an issue that when Glitch comes back, or if Glitch comes back, I don't think that they're gonna not consider that. Like they need to have a Shremek, or they need to have sort of one of those lifted parts that like allows you to drive upside down. Like that's what they need to have. But for now that they don't have that, and if they just get flipped once, they're kind of done for the most part. But now for rankings, I think. This is great. I feel like Glitch is going to be a lot easier for me to rank. It's going to go pretty low. I'm going to put it below robots that have had some promise. I'm going to put it pretty low. It just needs to figure out a way to improve its reliability. I'm gonna put it at 47 for now. A little harsh, but it's not looking that good, unfortunately. Malice for Lockjaw was a good win, and one hit KO for Glitch was a good win, and Sawblaze wasn't a terrible loss either. I think this was a blowout loss. This was a blowout win. This was a great win. That one was kind of a blowout loss. Good win. What the fuck? Good loss. Good win. I think for now, filling up that space, I'm going to move them up one. I'm going to put Lockjaw at 14. Like, this Lockjaw looks good. This Lockjaw looks really solid. Speaking about a robot that looked really solid, Beta versus Shatter. This fight was really good, and one that I thought Shatter was going to win because of reach alone. How naive I was. How naive of me to not think that of other reasons than, oh, Shatter has bigger reach. But in any other like measure of the robot, Beta beats it out. Drivetrain. Omni wheels make it hard to have a solid drivetrain. That goes to Beta. Weapon power goes to Beta. Weapon weight goes to Beta, I'm pretty sure. Experience behind the sticks. Actually, I don't know. Adam Brinkley's been there for a long time, but John Reed's been there for a longer time. But this one was Beta's fight the entire game. This was Beta's. Like, they did not like unrelent control. They didn't cease control of the fight at all to Shatter. Like, Shatter got like maybe a couple hammer swings in, but all of like Shatter's hammer swings like were just to get unstuck, and it didn't work. Beta is looking freaking fantastic, dude. Beta is looking great. The combination of John Reed's driving experience and how aggressive Jason from Thor is with the hammer. It's a combination of something really solid and something really good. And that is exciting to me. I loved Beta in season 2, and season 5 was a letdown, but season 7 is bringing Beta back, man. Oh my word, it feels good. It feels great to see Beta. I'm also a little sad that Shatter is underperforming, and yeah, don't get me wrong, Shatter's first fight against Hugh, that's a hard matchup for a Hammerbot. And this was a hard matchup for Shatter because, you're dealing with someone that's been your role model. Like, Shatter's been Adam Ridley's role model. Nah, Beta has. Beta's been Shatter's role model for such a long time that it was such an emotional fight. Like, I got choked up during the post game interviews when Adam was getting choked up about it. Like, in that moment, he didn't have anything to say, and it was tough. It was tough to watch because I felt for Homeboy. But good win for Beta, and for Shatter. Like, it's sad that it's underperforming. It has two, I don't want to say weaker opponents, but it does have two rookie bots coming up. So things are looking for the up and Shatter. Like, definitely if it wins these two fights, then we are looking at a low tournament seed. But for now, this is gonna be quite. This is gonna be quite the joke. Not really joke, but it's gonna go right next to Emulsifier. They can hang out. They can chill. They can chill together. But Beta. Beta's interesting. Beta is an interesting case. You can completely justify putting it way high, and I won't stop you from making that justification. But it hasn't beat like a caliber of robot like that these robots fight. Like, it straight up has it. Like when you look at Sawblaze, Hypershock and Lockjaw are its 2 wins. Kraken and Shatter, like, while Shatter, both fights were great, you can't argue when it comes to, like, quality of robots it faced. Black Dragon, when it fights Black Dragon, if they win that fight, then that feeling is gonna go away for me. And especially if it goes 4-0 and beats Bloodsport, definitely. But for now, it's going to sit at 13. Now, this next fight, Quantum versus Black Dragon. What a fight. What a fight this was. I sincerely enjoyed this fight. I believe it's between Shatter and Beta and this fight for the match of my favorite one, because really it's really interesting to me who wins this fight. I get why Quantum wins, but I thought it was going to be a lot closer than a unanimous decision. I definitely believed that it was going to be closer. I mean, Black Dragon optimally didn't get in a bunch of those big hits. I thought Black Dragon's ground game would at least do something to slow down Quantum. And it did for a couple seconds. Like, it got those shots on the side of Quantum. And, that was... If they kept on doing that, then I think Black Dragon wins the fight. But Quantum was just able to bite. It got a bite of the weapon a bunch of times. Yeah, it took some damage when it came to the teeth, but it still didn't stop it from biting on things. It bit the wheel, it bit the side, it bit all over the place. And it for the second time in its history bit into something that I could not unbite, which is insane to me. This is the third unsticking this season, and the second one that they couldn't unstick in time, which I believe is hilarious. The first one, of course, being Hypershock and Saw Blaze. But this is still a quality win for Quantum. It's still a solid win for them. And, they finally beat a caliber of robot that has been consistent in BattleBots. Black Dragon's never really a winner, like a winner pick, but is always like a gatekeeper when it comes to good robots, right? Like, if you go toe to toe with Black Dragon, then, you're a good robot. I feel like Black Dragon's sort of the gatekeeper of that. And Quantum is here to stay. I'm gonna knock it under. I'm gonna knock it over Copperhead, and it's gonna live with all the rest of these 3-0 teams. Might shuffle this around a little bit. I do feel like Quantum Claw Viper. Oh my gosh. That's a fight that we need in our lives, just as a collective. Like, if we were shown this fight, like, ending, that would end, like, that would have world peace value to it. Claw Viper Quantum. They're just going to be like, why are we fighting wars when we can watch robots fight? That's how the world achieves peace. Is Quantum and Claw Viper fighting each other. That is what it is. As for Black Dragon, definitely going into this realm of the 2-in-1 1-on-1 bots. My bad. Where I put it specifically, though, I think I will put it below. I'll put it below Mad Catter. Moving on. No, I should quickly touch on Terratops and Slamo. Terratops look good. Terratops looked really good. And I wish I was able to post my first impressions video. But I can't. My quality is terrible. But I said in that something along the lines of Terratops is going to be a really good rookie. Like, I like Terratops' prospects. And Terratops looked great. Looked great for a rookie bot. Now, currently it's the third best. Might be, you can argue it's the second best, and I actually will probably agree with you on that. It is the second best. It's definitely behind Ripperoni. Banshee, you can argue that is better. But Ripperoni is the best rookie right now. Terratops is very solid. It's a good concept of lifting the robot and then hitting their underside, because undersides aren't armored that well. That's sort of what helps Tantrum wins some matches. You look at Witch Doctor and you look at the Hydra fights where they're able to get under you and peel some of your armor. You're high centered and you can't move. And also it's also very similar to Whiplash's design and Big Dill's design, where for them, for Whiplash, it always felt like the lifter was pretty important alongside with the vertical spinner. I think with Terratops' design, the lifter is facilitating the spinner to do what it wants to do, which is great for Terratops. I think if I would put Terratops anywhere, I would put it either below or above Fusion. Not quite sure where, but that's where I would put it. I would put it in the mid-20s. Slamo is just, reliability is always an issue. But there's not much you can say about that. Moving on to Tantrum Blip. This technically wasn't the outcome I wanted. I had Tantrum predicting... I predicted Tantrum to win. I thought Tantrum was able to get the ground game. And it really was going to end up being a question of ground game. Because, both robots have the same fork. So it's just whoever gets under wins. And Blip got under and Blip won. Tantrum wasn't able to do much to stop Blip from getting under, unfortunately. Which, props to Blip. I secretly did want Tantrum to win Hydra. Obviously I did. So if they fought each other, both of them could be 1 and 2 and end up trying to get 2 and 2 and make it into the final bracket. And for Blip, it has Banshee, and for Tantrum, it has Whiplash. Both of them are winnable games, but Whiplash is trying to fight like hell to also become 2 and 2. So I think Tantrum or Whiplash, one of those two is going to get snubbed, unfortunately. But this was a solid fight. I don't have much to comment on this because I don't want to comment on it a ton, because I was I felt happy for Blip, but a Tantrum, I love Tantrum, so it was sad to see Tantrum lose. But overall, it was a good fight. Wish there was a little bit more back and forth other than Blip dominating the entire fight. I feel like Blip could have gotten a few more flips in. They took quite a bit of time to get flips in, which I don't think necessarily... the only way that's going to hurt them is, in my power rankings. That's not going to affect them that much. They got control, they got aggression, and they got damage. Not going to affect them a ton in the selection community, other than, or in general, other than, me just having a personal opinion. Right? But overall, solid fight. When it comes to ranking them, I feel good with ranking them above Fusion for now. They're gonna sit with Fusion in 1 and 2 area. I feel mid-20s is where a lot of these 1 and 2 bots will end up staying, or going at least. Mid to early 20s. But I think for now, I'll put Blip in ahead of Tantrum. So, with that being said, we are a little bit over halfway through the season. And I think it's time to start putting locks on some teams. Sort of clinching a bye week or anything. I'm going to go through each team and hand out locks to them. Because some of these teams are 100% definitive locks to make it into the tournament. They could lose out for the rest of the season and still make the tournament. And I do have a few in mind, but we'll talk about them. We'll talk with some edge cases, and we'll see what happens. We're gonna start off with the top 10. I feel like the top 10 have the most lock potential. Minotaur at number 1 is most certainly a lock. You have 3 wins under your belt. So we're going to give you a lock. I'm going to do this in all caps. Just for, I don't know, iconicness sake, I guess. Witch Doctor 2 and 2 is a lock. I think if they lose out, they're fine. Especially if they ball out against Minotaur and still end up losing. Ribot and Fusion were great fights, and I think they're locks anyways. Riptide, I think... This one's interesting. I'm going to say that they're locks. I feel like if they lose out, they're going to get a lower seed. So they definitely need to beat like Captain Shredder to actually like fully lock in their spot. But for now, I'm going to give them a lock. I'm okay. Also, Sawblaze at 4. Sawblaze is one of the babies of BattleBots. Like BattleBots isn't gonna let Sawblaze lose out and miss the tournament. Nah, that's like they got Hyperblaze. Come on, you can't let Hyperblaze lose. Like, yeah, huge Quantum Claw Viper, all locks. I don't think I need to say why. They are all 3-0, and a lot of their wins are dominating. Definitely a lock. Copperhead's an edge case, I would say, at this point. You know, 2 very dominating wins, but I feel like selection committee, if they lose out, selection committees will like, well, yeah, those wins weren't like drawn out fights. Like, if I'm selection committee, I do value a quick knockout, but I also value a like long drawn out fight where you're able to dominate the entire time, or turn the tides even. But I'm going to give it a lock. Hydra is 2-1 right now, and its losses, if it lost this next one, would end up being to Sawblaze and to Tantrum. The number 1 seed from not the number 1 seed, the number 1 robot from last year who won it all, and Sawblaze, who is one of the most consistent bots of all time in the modern era. This is a lock for Hydra. Moving on down to Cobalt. Cobalt is not a lock yet. It needs to win against Overhaul or Lucky. It needs to win one of their matches to clinch out. There is a slight chance, not even a slight chance, there's a good chance if they go 1-3 that they'll get in, because the Minotaur fight was basically a win until like the last 30 seconds. Like, and I can see that reality where they win on that alone. They get in on that alone. But for now, they are not a lock. I need to see them win against Overhaul or Lucky for me to say lock. Because this loss doesn't feel like a loss. This feels like a win. Okay. Hypershock is not a lock yet, though will probably make the tournament. But it's got 2 hard fights next up. When you look at Hypershock at Endgame, if they win either of these, whoever wins their next fight is definitely a lock. 100%. I'm going to say that Beta right now is a lock. Now, I may eat my words later, but I think Beta is a lock. You gotta have Hammerbot representation somewhere. And if you lose to Black Dragon and Bloodsport, hey, those are really strong opponents. You can't really like doubt yourself for that. Like, they're good opponents. Lockjaw right now, if they lose to Mad Catter, your losses are to Mad Catter and Sawblaze, and you had a 1-hit KO and Glitch and a strong win against Malice. I say you are a lock, but you are in fact a low seed. Rotator, not a lock yet. Not a lock yet. Scorpios is interesting, because this one was basically 1-hit KO. Jackpot was done immediately. Big Dill, on the other hand, was a win because Big Dill stopped working. I don't feel comfortable with giving it a lock just yet. Ripperoni is not a lock, but though I imagine if they beat Hijinks that it's a lock, because like Endgame Killer has to get into the tournament. Like that has to get in. So I think if they beat Hijinks, they get in. Lucky, I think, needs to win one more fight in order for this to be a lock. The scenarios I would probably say is it beats Shreddit Bro. If it loses Shreddit Bro, but does well against Cobalt, then it's a 100% confirmed lock, but I don't feel comfortable with saying it yet. These 1-3, 1-2 robots definitely aren't locks. Monsoon, Death Roll. None of these robots after are locks. But Minotaur's a lock, Witch Doctor's a lock, Riptide, Sawblaze, Huge, Claw Viper, Quantum, Copperhead, and Hydra I will all give locks to, along with Beta and Lockjaw. Haha. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this episode of BBBN Podcast. Let me know what you think about this format. If you would want to change anything, please let me know. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.